this tutorial I'm going to show you how to do a triangle granny. So this will be good if you're using it in a blanket, for example, or if you want to keep making the triangle bigger so that you can make a shawl. So it's really adaptable. I am using this Caron Simply Soft in the colour fuchsia and a 4.5mm hook to go with it, but you can of course use whichever yarn and hook you prefer. You will also need a pair of scissors and a darning needle for sewing in your ends. As always, I'll leave all of the information in the description box below, so click that show more button and you'll see a link which will take you to my website. You'll have all of the information there, including the written pattern, so that you can save it to your Pinterest board for later. As always, if you like my tutorials, don't forget to give them a thumbs up, leave me a comment, share with your friends, and don't forget to subscribe and click that bell button to keep up to date with all of my latest videos. Okay, let's get started. Okay, so first of all we're going to start off with a slip knot, and you can do this in whichever method you prefer. You want to go ahead and insert your crochet hook, and we're going to start off by chaining 4. So that's yarn over 1, 2, 3 and 4. We're going to join with a slip stitch into that very first chain. So yarn over and then just pull the yarn through both of those loops so that we're making a centre circle, and this is where we're going to start off. So for row 1 we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4. This chain 4 counts as a treble and a chain 1 here and throughout the work. So now we're going to continue to work in this circle, and we're going to do 3 treble crochets. So remember, I'm working in UK terms. When I say treble, that is a UK term. In the US, that is known as a double crochet. So if you're in the US, this is double crochet plus a chain 1. UK terms, treble crochet plus a chain 1. So we're now going to do those 3 treble crochets, or double crochets if you're in the US, which is yarn over, insert into that very centre of that circle, yarn over and pull through. You'll have 3 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops. You'll have 2 loops on your hook, yarn over, pull through 2. I'll just go through that again. Yarn over, insert, yarn over, pull through, 3 loops on the hook, yarn over, pull through 2 loops, and yarn over, pull through 2 loops. If you need slowed down versions of these stitches, please feel free to check out my Absolute Beginners series and then come back to this video. So we've just done those 2 trebles. We need to do 1 more. We're going to chain 2, 1 and 2. That's going to create a corner, and then we're going to do 3 trebles into that very same centre circle. 1, 2 and 3. That chain 2 that we've just done actually creates the peak of the triangle. So what we want to do now is almost make a mirror image of what we've done here. So we're going to chain 1 and then do 1 more treble into that centre circle. So as I say, this is the flat side of the triangle that we're building, and then this is the peak. So for row 2, we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, and turn our work. As I said before, that counts as a stitch plus a chain 1. We're going to do 3 trebles into this chain 1 space. 1, 2 and 3. We're going to chain 1, and then we're going to work into this chain 2 space just here. So we're going to do a little cluster of stitches into this chain 2, which is where the peak is. So we want to continue to build this peak. We're going to do 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, chain 2, 1 and 2, that's building our peak of our triangle, and then 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3. We're going to chain 1 to move ourselves over to this chain 1 space here, and we're going to do 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, chain 1 and a treble. So we're creating a mirror image of what we did on the opposite side. Now we're going to move on to row 3. Now you can either stop at row 3 if that's the desired size that you want. For example, if you're using it at the edge of a blanket, or you can repeat row 3 over and over again until you get to the size that you want. So if you're making a shawl, a triangular shawl, you can just keep repeating this row. So we're going to chain 4, 1, 2, 3 and 4, turn our work, and then we're going to do 3 trebles into this chain 1 space. So always 3 trebles into this first chain 1 space. That's 2 and 3. And then we're going to chain 1 to move across to the next space. Now, the more rows you build, the more spaces you will have until you get to the peak of your triangle. So this will just be the same until you get to this peak of the triangle. So it's chain 1 to move over to the next space, and then 3 treble crochets, 1, 2 and 3. We'll then chain 1 to move over to the next space, but this time we've reached the peak. So if you feel like you're going to get confused, you can put a stitch marker into this chain 2 space, but we're always going to do the same in this chain 2 space, and that's that little cluster of stitches. So we'll do 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3, chain 2 to create that peak, and then 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3. So it's the same stitches that we do in each of these chain 2 spaces as we build. We'll then chain 1 to move over into that next space and do 3 trebles, 1, 2 and 3. Remember, the more you build, the more of these single spaces you'll have along the way. So for example, when you get to this next row, you'll have 2 of these spaces before you either reach the peak or the end of the row. So now all we have left on this row is this chain 1 space. So we're going to chain 1 and then work 3 trebles into this chain 1 space, 1, 2 and 3, chain 1 and do another treble crochet, and that's the end of row 3. So I'll just show you one more row just to explain the pattern repeat again, but this is basically what you're going to do until you get to your desired size, or if you want to stop here, you can simply tie off. You can obviously change colours as well here and there if you want to. So as a repeat of row 3, we're going to chain 4, turn our work and work 3 trebles into that very first chain 1 space, 1, 2 and 3. Then we're going to repeat this pattern until we get to the chain 2 corner peak, which is chain 1, 3 trebles into the next space. 1, 2, 3. We have more spaces this time, so chain 1, 3 trebles into the next space. 1, 2, and 3. We're going to chain 1 to move over into this corner chain 2 space, and we're going to repeat that that peak pattern. So it's 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3, chain 2 to create the peak, and then 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 to move over to the next space, and 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 to move to the next space, and 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 to move over to the final space, which is this final chain 1, where we do 3 trebles, 1, 2, and 3. Chain 1 and do a further treble into that chain 1 space. So I'm going to go ahead and build a few more rows of this now so that you can start to see what it builds like. But this is a really simple pattern, and as I say, can be used in different ways. So keep building, rewind the video if you need to, and I'll see you in a moment to show you what this can look like once it gets bigger. Okay, so here is what the triangle is looking like as it builds. As I say, you could be making larger granny squares. You could tilt the granny squares and have them on this side, so a granny square could go here, for example, and this fills in the corners. If you want to make a different looking blanket, or you could just keep going and turn this into a shawl, which is just a really simple shawl to make, really nice for gifts. Obviously you can change colours. So yeah, this is the triangle granny motif. I really hope that you have enjoyed it. Don't forget, I'll leave all of the links in the description box below, including the written tutorial for this. The blog post has all of the information you need, including the pinnable image if you want to save it for a later date. Leave me a comment in the comment section if you give this a go. Share with your friends who you think might like this tutorial. And also, don't forget to subscribe to my channel. It's absolutely free. Click that bell button and you'll be notified of when my videos go live. Thank you so much for watching, and I shall see you again next time. Bye!